I, 34M. Think my neighbor is trying to sleep with me while my wife, 32F, is out of town. Firstly, I have told my wife what's happening since day one, let me make that clear. So my, 34M, wife, 32F, is out of town for a few weeks. We're healthy, we're happy. Our relationship is great. A few days after my wife leaves, I'm taking a smoking outside my apartment complex and I'm approached by a woman, don't know her age. She asks if I live in the building and I say yeah, and she said she's seen me around and was wondering. We've been there less than a year and she said she's just moved in and she asks how I like the place. I immediately mention my wife and I moved in about a year ago too. It turns out she came from the same city we just moved from and she works in the same industry as us. I keep mentioning my wife, she is my world. And she asks if she's inside and I said nah, she's out of town for a bit, I know. Wait for it. And she keeps saying she's never seen her around or me with anyone and asks what she looks like and I show her a photo and her response is, she's pretty. Eventually the neighbor asks for some help with some work in our field and I said sure, she can message me for advice and we exchanged numbers. Yes, I'm getting there. I tell her I need to call my wife so I'm heading back in, and as we're saying goodbye she offhand asks me if I know any single people in the area and if I could help her out and I told her no, and thought that was weird. Now, flirting has always gone over my head. Even my wife took several tries to get my attention when we were courting. And it was after I got back inside I realized I gave my number to a woman who was flirting with me. So when my wife called me I told her the entire story. She laughed because she knows I'm a dummy and wouldn't do anything. She said it seemed harmless and I've told her I'm married so she'll probably back off. Plus, both my wife and I get flirted with all the time. We are an attractive couple, so it's common for us to get flirted with despite the wedding rings, but neither of us would ever do anything. So it's been about a week and my neighbor keeps messaging me at night. Asking what I'm doing. Talking about how much she misses home yada yada. Asking how my girlfriend is doing. Yep, not wife, girlfriend. I either don't respond at all, or I've just messaged a single line like you should go out to this place and meet people for work and networking or something like that. Never setting up anything with me. Always saying I'm on the phone with my wife. Even if I'm not, and keeping it strictly business. The other night she was really spamming me with messages, again, how is your girlfriend, which I ignored, and then eventually asked me if I had time to talk tonight, and before she had a chance to call, because absolutely I expected her to try to call me, I told her no, I'm waiting for my wife to call. And she responds with something like, right, your woman comes first, and I have just ignored her since then. My wife called that night, and I told her how this is getting out of hand and am I crazy or is she really trying to sleep with me? And my wife agreed that is exactly what she is doing. I'm a tall good-looking guy in good shape. And I'm currently sitting at home alone. My wife said she's trying to get into our bed while she is away. I told her that isn't happening and I'm going to block this neighbor and we agreed this wasn't harmless. Now it's awkward because this isn't a big complex, and I know I'll run into her. She doesn't know what apartment I'm in. Thank goodness, and I'm going to block her number and I don't know how to handle this if I bump into her because she seems clingy and she doesn't seem to care. She knows I'm married. All I do is talk about my wife. I've dismissed anything she asks me that is personal. It was my mistake to give her my number, I'm aware of that, but now how do I handle this? Update. Wow, this blew up. So yeah, she messaged me again asking if I wanted to talk tonight. I told her no and I told her up front I'm not comfortable with it, and my wife isn't either. I sent a pretty lengthy message and we went back and forth. I basically told her how inappropriate it was to ask personal questions like that because we don't know each other and I only exchanged numbers because you said you wanted advice on work and we're in the same field and you're a new neighbor and I was being friendly, but you're overstepping. I said you keep dismissing my wife, not my girlfriend, my wife, like she isn't real and our marriage isn't the most important thing in my life. She denied it, said she was lonely and just wanted someone to talk to and that she'd love to meet my wife too, yada yada. I said I've met you once, I'm not your friend, and these are not things two strangers talk about. These are questions you ask when you're interested in someone and I've been telling my wife all of this from day one and neither of us is happy about it. That's as easy as I can summarize the conversation. I ended it by saying I hope you find something out there for you, but I'm not it, and if we bump into each other I don't want us to talk. She said okay and sorry, and I did block her number. Now we'll see if she tries anything if I see her again, but based on the advice I've been given in the comments I made it clear to her where I stand. Stop ignoring her texts. Tell her you are married and not interested in her. Rinse and repeat. When you are not telling her these things, she is assuming that you are okay with her behavior. Tell her you are not, don't water it down so she can twist it into her fantasy. Do not feel or act embarrassed if you run into her, you did nothing wrong, she has done everything wrong. Yep. Tell her you know what she's doing, ask her to back off or you'll block her. Or just say all of that and block her anyway. Not interested, don't call me again. Block her number. If you see her around, walk past her like she's a stranger, it's called the cut direct. And it's rude as fuck, but so is trying to fuck a married guy. You need to spell it out to her that you are married and not interested in her and that what she's doing is inappropriate and harassment. Block her and move on. If she continues, report her to the building management or her landlord. You have a right to peaceful enjoyment of your property and deserve not to be harassed. If it continues, either report her for harassment or seek a restraining order against her, but hopefully it shouldn't come to that. Just be proactive in shutting her down and blocking her. ETA. Any communication with her should be written or recorded. If she phones you, don't answer. Keep screenshots of texts. Any in-person conversations, whip out your phone and hit record. The fact she can't take a hint is worrying. Do what you need to protect yourself. I do not for the life of me understand why someone would not immediately outright reject and block a person that is being inappropriate or threatening to their relationship, out of respect for their partner if nothing else. I'm incredibly introverted, but when this becomes obvious, I immediately insert the wall. My 28M fiancé hit our puppy and I 26F. I'm considering leaving him over it. My fiancé and I have been together for 3 years, engaged for about 6 months. Our relationship has always been good. He's kind to me, treats me well, and makes me laugh. My friends and family love him and can't wait for us to be married. We decided to get a puppy together at the beginning of this year. We went to the shelter and immediately fell in love with a 12-week-old husky mix. Initially she was very timid and calm and we thought we hit the jackpot, but that very quickly went away. She has tons of energy, is destructive, and has been pretty slow to potty train. I've raised puppies before and can say that she isn't any worse than the average puppy, but my fiancé has never had a puppy this young and truly believes she is some sort of lost cause. A few days ago, we were in the living room when our puppy randomly got up and peed on the rug right in front of us. I clapped in her face and began trying to take her outside, but then to my absolute horror my fiancé smacked the top of her head hard. I can't get the whimper she made out of my head. She ran off with her tail between her legs as I sat in absolute shock at what he'd done. I still can barely look at him. I told my mom and best friend about it and that I want to leave him, and they think I'm overreacting. He's never hit me before or even gotten close, but I'm so absolutely disgusted and horrified by his behavior that I don't know if I'll ever get over it. Our relationship was borderline perfect up until this point, but I just don't know if I can get over this. Is this something worth ending my relationship over? LMAO, just wait till if y'all had kids and he's got to deal with a baby. Who am I kidding? Probably would just tell Opt to take care of it and not help. He hit a puppy? It's over. My old roommate's girlfriend, who is a vet tech BTW, kicked his dog and he broke up with her. They were together for like 5 years at that point and he was close to proposing, but that did it for him. I'm surprised so many people need to hear this. It is never okay for an adult to hit a harmless creature. Period. This is super concerning and, at the very least, something that needs to be discussed with a therapist. Would he hit a kid that hadn't let him sleep in 48 hours? I'm not saying that you need to end the relationship with him over this, but if he refuses to treat this as the serious issue it is, maybe it is time to slow down the relationship a bit. Yeah, I'd leave and wouldn't look back. Take the puppy, and do both her and yourself a favor. Who knows what he will do when you're not there, sad face. Your puppy must have felt so scared, sad face. My 29M therapist, 30F, asked me to meet for a coffee. Was having therapy for about 6 months. I started to develop feeling for my therapist, F, roughly the same age as me. She is very beautiful, very caring and just makes me feel good about myself. We did our sessions via video call. I planned to tell her because I started to feel it was interfering in therapy, and had hoped she might like me too. Well, I told her and she was shocked, flattered, but generally reacted quite badly. She said we can't continue in therapy. I felt really embarrassed, although she asked me to keep her updated about some of my future plans, goals. She wrote to me a few days later apologizing for her reaction. She suggested we have another session to discuss if we should continue our sessions. I agreed. I eventually ended therapy because my life was going well. I was having a really bad day recently and booked a session with her. Towards the end of the session she said she will be in my town soon, and if I'd like to meet up for a coffee. I was really happy to be asked. Of course I said yes. She is unsure of the exact dates but says she'll let me know soon. I feel really unsure about her intentions to meet me for a coffee. To me, meeting for a coffee is a date. But I don't want to get my hopes up too much. Is it a date? If it's not a date, what else could it be? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Erotic transference is not unusual, but your therapist really needs to get proper supervision on how to work with you around it. You cannot date your therapist. Developing feelings for a therapist is a common phenomenon known as transference. If she reacted badly, according to you, then she was being unprofessional. I can't imagine an ethical therapist asking a client, current or former, out for a coffee, especially one who has awkwardly expressed feelings for them. Good luck. I think you still need therapy if you're considering dating your therapist. Since you still use her for a therapist, this is crossing an ethical boundary for this therapist to meet you for coffee like this. She could lose her license over this. I wouldn't meet her in person until the two of you decide whether or not you're going to continue in a therapist-patient relationship or not. I'm a therapist and this is messed up. When I took ethics class, my teacher said that if we take nothing else from his class, it's never date, have sex with clients. It's the most common ethics complaint and you will totally lose your license for it. Why is this a bad thing? This is not a normal relationship. A therapist has a more powerful role. You are not involved in give and take. This is a person you rely on for assistance in learning how to regulate your emotions. Transference and counter-transference can be a part of the process and she should have training to deal with it. I really hope for both of you that coffee is just coffee. My 26F boyfriend, 26M, made me buy my own cake. My boyfriend has become so frugal these days, that for my birthday I had to buy my own cake. We have been dating for 3 years, and he told me he didn't have enough money to celebrate my birthday. I was honestly okay with it. Until he went out with his friends and spent money there, but for my birthday party, which was just the two of us anyway. He asked me to buy my own cake. He is taking me for granted so much. I always make sure we take turns paying for the dates, and I never let him take the brunt. But he's become like this now. He doesn't care the slightest about you. If you are okay with it, you can keep dating him. Straight up, it's time to leave. You're not his list of priorities. You think that's marriage or long-term relationship material really? Nothing wrong with budgeting or being frugal. But not placing any value in your happiness doesn't work. Not to be a jerk, but do you want to be with an adult who can't make ends meet? I don't know what you do for a living, but economic difference in a relationship can be a huge strain. That is a bit rude that he isn't trying to do anything special. So many things are free and he couldn't think of one? He is taking you for granted, such disrespect. Happy birthday though. Hope you find a better man. He didn't make you do anything. You accept this level of treatment. So far gone wanting to prove that you love him for more than money, now you are facing the consequences of that. Soon you'll end up his goldmine. People spend their time, energy and money on what matters to them. You're 26. You planning on having kids, future with a man who'll probably haggle with you over diapers and childcare costs.